Hello and welcome to Fighters Card Game Beginner's Guide. First off, I'd like to welcome you to the Fighters Card Game. My name is Sleepy Salada, and I'd like to welcome you to a passion project I've been working on the past year, Fighters the Card Game. In this video, I'm going to teach you the basics of the card game so you can start playing. I won't be covering every small detail, but I'll walk you through the basic mechanics and turn structure so you are ready to play. First off, let's go over the objective and requirements of the game. Fighters the Card Game is a 1v1 card game where you take turns playing Vivosaurs, using action cards to defeat your opponent and win. In order to play, each player will need the following items in order to play a game. You will need a 30-card constructed deck with at least one Vivosaur card in it, which can be seen on the left side, and then a separate deck for 10 FP charge cards, which you can see next to them. Next, you are going to need dice or a way to track counters. It is very important. Next, let's go up to the setup of the game. Firstly, each player will choose one Vivosaur card from their deck and place it face down in front of them. This is your starter Vivosaur. Do not show this card to your opponent just yet. Afterwards, you will shuffle your deck. Then both players will decide who goes first using dice, a coin flip, or a friendly game of rock, paper, scissors. Afterwards, both players will draw 4 cards, flip their starter Vivosaur face up, and the game shall begin. Now, let's go over the turn structure of the game. Each turn is broken up into 4 phases. You have the draw phase, the recharge phase, action phase, and end phase in that order. After your end phase is completed, it will then become your opponent's turn. So, let's go over each phase individually. First up is the draw phase. This is the phase that starts your turn, and at the start of your draw phase, you draw 1 card from your deck. If you are unable to draw a card because you have no remaining cards in your deck, you lose the game. Next, we move on to the recharge phase. In the recharge phase, you start this phase by taking 3 FP charge cards from your FP deck and adding them to your FP zone. Your FP zone has a maximum of 10 cards that can be placed in it. After you charge your FP charge cards, you will unrest your rested Vivosaurs. The Vivosaur is rested after it uses a skill. You can tell a Vivosaur is rested when it is sideways, as you can see on this diagram right here. Next off, we move to the action phase. And as the name implies, this is where all the action happens. Here's all you can do in the action phase, but you don't have to do these in this particular order. You can play a Vivosaur from your hand, you can swap Vivosaur zones, you can charge a Vivosaur from your hand, use skills, and use action cards. So, let's go over these individually. First off is playing a Vivosaur from your hand. In the action phase, you have the ability to play a Vivosaur from your hand into one of your vacant Vivosaur zones. You have 3 of them, so you are able to have 3 Vivosaurs on the field at the same time. You can only play 1 Vivosaur from your hand into a Vivosaur zone once a turn. And you can only have 1 Vivosaur in a vacant Vivosaur zone at a time. Next up is swapping Vivosaur zones. In the action phase, you can switch your Vivosaur zones. Once a Vivosaur is placed into a Vivosaur zone, it cannot move unless you swap its Vivosaur zone with another. You can only swap the adjacent Vivosaur zones, so you cannot swap your leftmost and rightmost zones with each other. Now, let's go up to charging a Vivosaur. In the action phase, you can place a Vivosaur from your hand into your FP zone. This is called charging a Vivosaur. While a Vivosaur is in your FP zone, it is treated as an FP charge card that has an FP value represented by the green diamond in the box, which is in the middle of the card. If a Vivosaur is used in the FP zone to pay the cost of a skill or action card, you place it into your discard pile. After the skill or action card is finished, you would use the effect in the gray box next to the green diamond. This is called the charge effect. On this card shown here, Shanshan, its charge effect is you target a rested Vivosaur you control and unrested. Next, let's go over action cards. In the action phase, you can play a card type called action cards. These are cards that require FP in order to use them. In order to use them, you will also need to use action points. At the start of your recharge phase, you get action points equal to the number of Vivosaurs your opponent controls. When you would use an action card, you would remove an action point. You cannot play an action card if you have no action points. There are 5 types of action cards. We have support actions, which are strong once per turn cards. For example, Dino, which is able to add a Vivosaur from your deck to your hand. Assist cards, which are weaker, but not once per turn. For example, Smashing Success, which lets you draw 2 cards. Attack action cards, which you can play at any time, even during your opponent's turn. For example, Unexpected Encounter, which lets you stop an action card, a card being charged from hand, or an attack skill from happening. Very versatile card. Next are arena cards, which have ongoing effects that apply to both players, but only one can be active at the same time. For example, Fossil Stadium, where it boosts all your attack skills by 20 damage and makes them cheaper by 1 FP. Then lastly, team cards, which mimic attack skills and require a specific Vivosaur setup, but have a huge payoff. For example, Tyrant's Burst, which for each Vivosaur damage from its attack, you discard a fire from your deck. And it requires T-Rex to be on the field, so you know it's strong. Next, let's go over skills. In the action phase, you can use skills, and there are two types of skills. You have attack skills, that damage an opposing Vivosaur, or support skills, that applies a helpful effect to your partner Vivosaurs. In order to read skills, they have an FP cost on the left side in the dark orange box, a skill name in the middle, and damage on the right side in a white box. After a Vivosaur uses a skill, it is turned clockwise and called rested. A Vivosaur cannot use skills while rested, and a Vivosaur is unrested during the recharge phase. The Vivosaur here, Shanchan, has an attack skill and a support skill, with Shanfang costing 1 FP and dealing 70 damage, or Grow Up, which has a cost of 3, and has the ability to charge this Vivosaur and play a turbo from your deck, rested. Next up is the action phases statuses. Some skills are able to apply an effect called status. There are 10 statuses in the game, which either can be negative or positive when applied to a Vivosaur. You have Sleep, Confuse, Scare, Excite, Enrage, Poison, and then you have Inflame, Harden, Quicken, and Counter. Each status is a turn counter that tells how many turns that status will be applied to that Vivosaur. You can remove a turn counter on that status by 1 at the end of that player's end phase, except if that status was applied that same turn. A Vivosaur can have any number of statuses applied to them, but if the same status is applied to that Vivosaur again, the turn count will reset. Now let's go over damage. A Vivosaur can use one skill while unrested. Afterwards, it is rested. When you want to use a skill, you will pay the FP cost of the skill and rest your Vivosaur. Then pick the Vivosaur you want to target with the skill. If the attack skill lands, reduce the defending Vivosaur's LP by the attack skill damage. For example, Giganto has 560 LP, and Spinax Fang deals 80. So in result, Giganto's HP will go down to 480. Next up, let's go over KOs. If you reduce your opponent's Vivosaur's LP to 0, that Vivosaur is defeated. Once a Vivosaur is defeated, it is placed into your opponent's FP zone and you get a KO point. If a Vivosaur gets 3 KO points, they win the game. If a player has no remaining Vivosaurs, they lose. You can keep track of your KO points with dice or a marker, so both players know how many KO points someone has until they win. If there is 10 cards in the FP zone already, the defeated Vivosaur will be put into the discard pile instead. Next, let's go over attack ranges. Every Vivosaur has a range. This will determine which Vivosaur it can use attack skills on while in a Vivosaur zone. First off is close range, which can only attack directly across. Mid-range, which is able to attack to across and adjacents. Then lastly, long range, which can only attack the leftmost or rightmost, but only if it is in the opposite zone. Next up, let's go over elements. Every Vivosaur has an element. You can tell a Vivosaur's element by its symbol on the top right of the card. There's water, earth, fire, air, and neutral. When using attack skills, you take this into account. For example, if a water Vivosaur uses an attack skill on a fire Vivosaur, it will deal 2 times the damage. This is called elemental advantage. But if a fire Vivosaur uses an attack skill on a water Vivosaur, it deals minus 30 damage. This is called elemental resistance. Now, all that stuff that happens, let's go over the limitations of the action phase. So, you can only do the following actions once a turn. Swap Vivosaur zones, charge a Vivosaur from your hand, and playing a Vivosaur into a Vivosaur zone from your hand. You can use multiple action cards and skills as long as you have the resources to do so. You can do any action in the action phase in any order you like. Now, since we did all that stuff, let's go over to the end phase. At the end of your turn, if you have more than 6 cards in your hand, you will discard cards from your hand until you have 6 cards. Also, remove a turn counter from the statuses applied to your Vivosaurs. You do not remove a turn counter if that status was applied on that same turn. Now, you just got done learning how to play the very basics of Fossil Fighters, a card game. So, you're probably asking, where do I go to play? Now that you know how to play the game, let me tell you where to go. You can join the Fossil Fighters card game Discord to get full access to playing it on either Untap, Lackey CCG, Tabletop Simulator, and other platforms, such as Paperplay. You can check in the description of this video in order to get the Discord link in order to join the server. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching and learning the Fossil Fighters card game. I'll be bringing deck profiles, card talks, and more later on with this channel, so please stay around for that. I would appreciate if you like, subscribe, and share this with people who you think would want to learn or play this game. Thank Thank you, on, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.